Hi, everyone. This is Jeff Clark at the Metals Investor Forum in beautiful Vancouver, BC. I'm here with Gwen Preston, who works now with West Red Lake Gold Mines. Gwen, you've done this a million times, but thank you so much for doing this interview with me.
Thank you. It's so interesting to be sitting in this chair
Yeah,
and
right.
not in that chair.
This is a special occasion for me because Gwen agreed to basically sell her newsletter business to us, so as many of you probably know. And she left to go work for this company. So Gwen, let's start there. Why did you leave the newsletter business to go to work for West Red Lake Gold Mines?
So I get this question a lot here in particular because lots of people here know me as Resource Maven. I was ready for a change personally. Newsletter writing is an amazing thing to do. I had done it for 10 years, so I was ready for a change. And when I was considering what that might be, you and I have invested across the spectrum of opportunities in mining. And I really realized that if I was going to close my business and go to a company, I needed that company to offer reliability and upside. I needed both of those.
Right.
And a lot of times in our space, there's lots of potential upside, but there's not as much reliability.
Right.
That's the risk. Or there's maybe reliability without as much upside. It's already in production. It's already doing its thing.
Yeah.
The sweet spot is that going into production, that developer to producer.
Yeah.
And so when the opportunity came to work with West Red Lake, that's what we're doing. That's what the company's doing, and sort of doing it on an accelerated time frame because we bought this mine that was already built, had some problems, needed to be fixed. So it was like this accelerated developer to producer re-rate with a team that I have a lot of respect for.
Yes.
Very experienced, focused professionals.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that was it. That was why.
So this is the old Madsen Mine, and longtime investors are probably going to be familiar with that. So we don't need to go into a lot of details why it failed. But let's talk about why this is going to be a success. I wrote up the company. It's behind a paywall, but you can read it. I think it's a pretty good write-up and a case for why this can now succeed. So walk us through the steps that the company has done to make this Madsen Mine probably be a very profitable mine.
Yeah, for sure. No, your write-up captured it really well. Pure Gold, the prior operator, bought this thing. They did a bunch of really good work. They did 180,000 meters of drilling to define the resource. They built a really good mill. They permitted. And they went into production. The problem is that they did make mistakes as well. And I think the key among those is, even though they did 180,000 meters of drilling, they didn't do enough drilling. This is Red Lake. The gold is it's in lenses. It's not spread continuously. It's not consistent. You have to really do intensive drilling. And this isn't us pulling that thought out of the blue. 30 million ounces of gold have been mined out of Red Lake. Yeah. And they've mined that gold by drilling these things on like 6-meter centers, like hammering the deposit with holes so you know exactly where the gold is. Pure Gold tried to mine with drill holes on like 20-meter centers. So we've done 58,000 meters of drilling in the last 18 months, 16 months.
You're about 7 meters apart now, right?
Exactly.
You really refined that.
Yeah, so the first year and a half or almost 2 years of what we're going to mine, we've hammered it with holes to exactly like you say, 7-meter centers. So we think we know where the gold is very accurately. And the other thing that tripped up Pure Gold was that they didn't do quite a few projects that would have made for a more efficient mine. And by not doing them, they ended up with really high costs because they didn't have an efficient operation.
Yeah.
So that's the other thing that we've done is a bunch of capital projects to set ourselves up for efficient. And in mining, efficiency is how you manage costs, right?
Talk about the PEA, which was very positive, and then talk about the funding that you have now too.
Absolutely. So we bought this mine that was like all built and permitted and ready, but needed fixes. So we did all that work and raised a bunch of money and did the fixes. And now at the end of that, when we're right on the cusp of production, we finally have issued our mine plan, right? So that just happened last week. The PFS came out. That PFS outlines a mine.
PFS. I said PEA, sorry.
It's okay. We all make mistakes. You knew. outlines a mine that generates $70 million in free cash flow annually.
Yeah.
It has a net present value of $315 million, and it has an internal rate of return that's a big number. It's 255% because we spent the money already, right? Usually IRR, the denominator in that calculation is how much more you have to spend.
Right.
And that number is really small for us. So when the denominator is small,
Right.
the returns are high. So we're ready. That we put that out. It is actually a very conservative look at what this mine can be. And it's conservative because the reserve cutoff from SRK was a very low gold price, $1,680, which means that they left everything below 5 grams per ton out of the mine plan.
Amazing.
So we're actually going to mine more tons, and we're going to need less access development for each ton.
And it's going to be at a higher gold price.
And it's
much
going to be,
higher.
exactly, and it's going to be at a higher gold price. So we think the reality, not just the long-term potential, but like the reality right now of Madsen is stronger than the PFS captures, but the PFS still makes a lot of sense. Exactly.
And then tell us about the funding.
Yes, for sure. So we have the money that we need to get this thing going. So, you know, we went out in the fall, we did a $27 million raise in the fall, and then at the beginning of this year, we closed a $35 million US debt facility. That's the last chunk of money that we need to get ourselves. And a lot of that's just working capital. We need to, as we're underground mining right now, we're bulk sampling. We just need to pay until we start producing the gold from all of that, turn on the mill.
Yeah.
But we have the money that we need to get ourselves into production. And we expect to be producing gold from the bulk sample in March, and then for sure from production in June.
Yes, great. So 2 of the big questions the market probably had have been addressed and answered in a very positive way, I think is fair to say.
Absolutely. I mean, in 2024, we had to raise a lot of money because we had to do a lot of work. But because we didn't have that mine plan out, we weren't actually able to say exactly what the mine would look like,
Yeah.
how much more it was going to cost, or when it was going to happen, because we just didn't have it out yet. Now we've answered all of those questions, and not only have we answered how much more is it going to cost, but we've made sure that we have that money in our hands. So yeah, a lot of clarity.
So West Red Lake Gold is a pre-producer now.
Yes.
So you're on the path to becoming a gold producer and that first pour again. So walk us through what's going to happen between now and then and when that might occur.
Absolutely. So right now we're mining the bulk sample, which is really just the first 8,000 tons of our mining. Slowly ramping up, making sure that we're safe, accurate, and increasing the pace underground. We're pulling that from 4 areas, putting that on surface. If the whole premise here is that we can deliver grade and tonnage as promised to the mill, that's what Pure Gold wasn't able to do. The bulk sample is our opportunity to demonstrate that.
Yeah, great.
So we're going to turn on the mill and run that bulk sample through the mill in March. So we will produce gold in March when we run that bulk sample through. Then we will roll into production. And I mean, there may be a bit of a pause after the bulk sample, but certainly by June, we expect to be producing gold. We will be producing gold at the Madsen site. So bulk sample, an important market catalyst because it should validate the thesis that we can do it. And then start production in the middle of the year and then ramp up tons per day and through the end of the year so that by this time next year, we are in commercial production.
I like how Shane has pulled back, the CEO pulled back and kind of looked at this thing in the big picture, planned it out, did it in a more, responsible way, however you want to describe it, but got a great team, and I think, this could really be a success.
I mean, the team is phenomenal, and Shane gets the credit for that. Shane has built 6 mines. He's been the lead in building 6 mines around the world. One of those is the Lamaque mine in Quebec. He was with Eldorado for many years, and he led the rebuild of the Lamaque mine, which is a really similar setup, really, a historic mine that needed a new look, and it had infrastructure, but it needed to. So his experience just means that he knows in intimate detail what you need to do, all the things that need to happen simultaneously, accurately, in sync with each other for a mine to be a success. And so he's built the team, and I mean, we had a question when we put the PFS out. If you had 6 months, if you had another 6 months time, do you think that going into production would be lower risk? And the answer is no. We have done the work.
Yeah.
We are very confident that we are ready to start mining in June. If we had gave ourselves another 6 months, the PFS might have had bigger numbers, but that doesn't matter. We're going to continue to show how much more Madsen can be,
Right.
but let's get into production and start producing gold into a market that values it at $2,700.
Right. And so much more exploration potential
Oh.
there. Just it's massive. That's a whole nother discussion. But we're out of
Absolutely.
time. But thank you for watching. And West Red Lake Gold Mines is in the Paydirt Prospector. We recommend it. I'm actively buying the stock. It's in that sweet spot, as Gwen has said. So hope you'll check it out. So Gwen, thanks for joining me, and thanks for watching here at the Metals Investor Forum.